Welcome to a new session. And in this session, we are going to explore how to set up a network load balancer. I guess you would have already gone through the relevant documentation in the learning management system. And let's see how to get the network load balancer implemented now. All right. If you remember from the previous session where we set up the application load balancer, I had created 3 instances and I used for the application load balancer. I have already cleared the application load balance. However, the instances which were associated with them, I have retained them. I'm going to be using the same instances here with the network load balancer also. So I have 3 instances already and 3 web servers pretty much, right? So let me go ahead and set up the network load balancer now. Go to the EC2 management console and click on create load balancer, and we have the network load balancer here, which is a ultra high performance load balancer primarily focusing on TCP and UDP. All right, and also I hope you remember that network load balancers can route to EC2 instances, they can route to IP addresses, or they can even route to another load balancer, for example like an application load balancer. So you can have more rules within the application load balancer for creating your specific routing models and get it routed from the network load balancer also. Alright, so now let me go ahead and put a name for this load balancer. I'll call it as the network ELB, and I'm going to keep this as internet facing. The IP address type that I'm going to be using for this demonstration is IPv4, and for the VPC I'll use the default VPC. And as for the mappings, I have to select whichever availability zone I want to bring into the load balancer, and for this demonstration I'm going to be using all of them. However, what I want you to watch keenly here is the IPv4 address. We have 2 options here, alright? So assigned by AWS or use an elastic IP address. So remember, we can also use network load balancers for the instances or for hosts which are within the on-premises also. Alright, so let's say you have a host that is running within your own premise and you want to bring them into the load balancer, the network load balancer, you can still do that. Alright, so that is going to be using the IP addresses. Alright, so that's what the network load balancer is all about. So, but here for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to be using the instances within the AWS only, and I'm going to be using the IP address which is assigned by AWS. So I'm going to be leaving this as it is, and assigned by AWS. Alright. So next comes the target group, right? So remember, here we are working on the layer 4, which is the TCP UDP, and TCP works at port 80. Right, so we know that, and if we want to add more listeners, we can add more listeners here. However, I'll just go with 1 at the moment, and to select a target group, I do not have any target groups created. So let me go ahead and create 1 target group now, and I'll keep it with the instances only. And this target group, I'll call it as TG1. The protocol and port are TCP and 80. The VPC is the default VPC. The health checks are going to be based on TCP. Remember, we did the classic load balancer and the application load balancer already. Both of them we use the HTTP. But here with the network load balancer, we are using the TCP. So we are going to be the healthy threshold, unhealthy threshold, timeout, and interval. The interval alone will change it to 10 seconds, or we don't have the option to change the unhealthy and the timeout. Alright. So even if we go into override, alright, we can just play a bit with the port and the healthy threshold only. So we'll leave it as the traffic port as usual, alright, so which is port 80, and we'll change only the interval to 10 seconds. Let's click on next, and we have 3 instances already running, right? Remember, all the 3 instances are across the 3 availability zones within the Ohio region. So Ohio has only 3 availability zones. I have spread my instances across all the 3 availability zones. Alright, let me go ahead and hit include as pending below. Alright, so let me go ahead and create the target group. Alright, the target group is now created, but it is not associated with any load balancer at the moment. Let me go back to the load balancers, refresh the page, refresh this part of the dialog box, and let me go and click on TG1. All right, and tags are optional at the moment, so I'm not going to be putting in any tags. And all right, so the network ELB, I need to rename it. I'll put it as, I'll correct this typo here. All right, now all set. I'm going to create the load balancer. So the load balancer network ELB has been successfully created. Let me go ahead and view the load balancer, and it is showing as provisioning at the moment. And how many listeners are there? There is only one listener at the moment. All right. So let me go to the target groups and let me refresh this. And it's now associated with the network load balancer. Let's go into the network load balancer and see. Let's go into the target group and see what's happening there. All right. So we have 3 instances, right, which we have associated here. So we have 0 healthy, 0 unhealthy, or 0 unused, and we have 3 initializing here. Right. Let's just watch this. So it's showing target registration in progress. One of the very important factors that you have to watch here is you have to ensure that the security group which is associated with the instances have to allow HTTP coming in from all over from anywhere, pretty much. So then only the instances are going to accept the connections on the TCP. So to ensure that, go to your dashboard, go to your security groups, and I use this web server security group, right? So go to the inbound rules and ensure you have the HTTP coming in from, I have connections accepted both from IPv4 and IPv6 here. So just make sure that you have this port 80 accepted, all right? Of course, we did set this up in the previous application load balancer itself, but just to ensure, if you're going to be using a more secure approach, and if you're not going to be using the public IP addresses for your instances, you're going to be using only the private instances, private IP addresses for your instances. In that case, please ensure that you have this setting checked here. All right. So now come back to the target groups, and the health status is still showing as initial. Remember, this is going to take a little more time because the interval is 10 seconds. All right. So it has to do 3 checks to confirm it is healthy. So, 10 seconds for each test. So that's going to be taking a little more than a minute here. So please be patient for it to complete. All right. So meanwhile, I'm going to pause the video, and once they are healthy, I'm going to be coming back here. All right. So we see that all the instances are healthy now. All right. So let's try to access the load balancer. Let me copy the DNS name here, and all right. Let me open up. All right. So yes, it is working fine for us. Host 3, and I'm getting it from the host 3 here. That is one part of it. We are not seeing the host 2 and host 1 getting routed there because of the stickiness. All right. So that's the reason we don't see the host 2 and host 1 at the moment. All right. So yeah, we look into the stickiness in the next sessions, and you'll get a better understanding there about the sticky sessions. All right. Thank you very much for watching this session, and I'll catch up with you in the next session. Thank you very much.